who coming into today's seminar, they probably are all very happy with one fact. There's some money in the bank now, and for you to play with. And I was reading something with JP Morgan. They're saying that they've been funding those teeny businesses, teeny, okay? And the teeny small businesses. And this second round of COVID-19 SBA PPP program finally touched on teeny businesses. And here we are, and coming into Ying's webinar just to get to know what we should do. And especially when you're a teeny and you probably cannot walk into large CPA firms in the high-rise building, or your attorneys who bills like $400 an hour, and those may not be in your PPP budget. So you need to figure out a way to understand that yourself. And the PPP is a spirit of doing it yourself, okay? A lot of folks are getting that on their own, and the application should not be that challenging, and we should be able to do it ourselves. Now it's time. We have to continue doing it. And the key is to get an understanding and know exactly what you are looking at. So I saw a lot of you kind of took the seat already, even though we still have people coming in as we speak. And let's get going because we have real content we like to cover. And one of the things for this seminar, I normally, when I do webinar, I normally have close to about 20 to 30 slides that I need to go through. But in this particular day, for this particular topic, I did a few. And I did, I think it was total just about 12 and 13. And the reason I want to do that is because I really want to leave a larger gap for us to answer questions, because I know it is impossible for me to go through this hour and you are like, oh, I got it. There's some simple ways, there's some simple cases and a simpler administrative process. Yes, you could, but a lot of time, there's always this little thing you have, nobody else have that situation and you want to know. So we want to make sure that we have a little bit of time to take questions, okay? So let's start with our webinar, and I will get into screen sharing with my slides, but that doesn't mean you don't see me. You can still see me, and at the same time, you can still go down to the bottom of your list, putting in question and answers. So make sure that you move your mouse to the bottom. Take a look at that legend on the bottom. There is a Q&A, and there's also a chat, and you can put your questions there while we are going on this seminar. Let me get to the core of our presentation here. And we know why we are here today. And we are here because we are going to talk about what's the next on the PPP. All right. So what's the next on the PPP? So you receive the money, and some of you probably just got that yesterday. Okay. So you saw that dollar in your bank account. Now what? As a routine, I need to introduce myself. I always love this part. My name is Ying, and I am a, of course, community CPA is a baby I brought up from beginning to today is almost 25 years. And I am also a new author for this book called Appointment with Ying at 8 a.m. And I would love to see you be interested in reading my book. I'm telling you, my book is as interested as my webinars. If you love the way I speak to you, and you literally see me speaking to you through the book, because I am the one talking to you when I wrote that book. And it is all about how to become a good business person from the first day. So then the other important information I want to tell you that I'm sitting on the National Taxpayer Advocacy Panel, and this is a federal advisory committee to IRS. And I know it's all big words, but basically I am with other people, with selected individuals, and we form a body to give recommendation to IRS, to help IRS to be our taxpayers IRS, and not anything else we call them. You know, we know the nicknames. So, but we're trying to make IRS a good place, a good agency to help taxpayers to grow their business and, you know, living their life. And no responsibility disclaimer is so important because the information we are talking about today, a date stamped for today. And especially when things are so new and the pandemic is so crazy and the government is so busy at making new rules and new recommendations and new fundings available, all of these things is just fluid. It's just changing all the time. So just keep in mind that please don't go back to my March presentation and quote something I said over there, and that information could be outdated. But today's information is not outdated for today, and it is important for you to know, so that's why I'm here. And let's just quickly talk about government assistance. I want you to know there's a spelling error I saw. By the way, another disclaimer is my English. English is my second language, and for that reason, I sometimes may not speak sophisticated English, but because I understand what's written over there on the government side, so my explanation is very simple, and I'm kind of the person that would make complex matters simple in terms of layman understanding. So if you find I'm actually pretty clear in terms of my explanation to you. Tell you why is because my English is not that complicated to make people dizzy. So that's why you're with me. And it's almost a benefit for you to be with me just because I speak simple English. And here, the government since COVID-19, and I want you to remember a date, the February the 15th date, 2020 is actually a date the federal government consider that's where pandemic starts. Okay, just in your background, note that February the 15th is that day. And so it happened in different areas in the United States. So February the 15th, 2020 is the date of pandemic starting. And the government start making a lot of assistance to the public. And those are the list of the assistance we see on the market. Stimulus check, you probably got it already, and EIDL loan application and the loan advance up to 10K forgivable, and you probably also got that. And this 10K thing came in kind of quiet. It's like just landed in our client's bank account. Client didn't even realize until 10 days later, goes, oh, Ying, I got that loan advance. Oh, great, congratulations. How come you didn't tell me? Oh, you know, they didn't really even tell you that they gave you the money. You just suddenly had it. And I was wondering why my bank account didn't go on negative. So, you know, that kind of thing. But that's one of the program. Even if you don't get a loan, but that 10K is free to you. If you only have if you have more than 10 employees, you got 10K. If you have less than 10 employees, you got say 2 employees, you got 2,000, 3 employees, you got 3,000. So that's how it works. So that's another assistance. PPP loan, that is the one we're talking about today. And the PPP stands for Paycheck Protection Program. Just by the name itself means what? Means it's protecting paychecks. Protecting whose paychecks? Protecting yours, the business owner's paychecks, protecting your employees' paychecks, okay? That program can be forgivable. It is a loan, period. You are signing a loan document, and it says clearly you have a rate, that's 1%, says clearly you have a returning point of time, that's 2 years, so it's a loan document. But the CARES Act, the government says that if you do the following things, if you jump through these hoops, and you will get that for free. You don't have to pay it back. That's what we're going for. And we didn't really meant to borrow money. We just meant to get that forgived. So this is what we're talking about today. And the local government grants, and every state has a local government grants. Grants are not loan. Grants are not to be paid back, but grants normally is taxable. So that local government grants, if you got that and you want to know that, you need to keep track of what you spend that for, because you need that income, reduce that expense so you don't end up paying taxes, okay? Unemployment benefit expended, that one is too, right? That's another benefit, you know what I'm talking about. And retention credit for employers, that is another one. That by itself is a class. And if you have many employees in your company and you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to follow me on my webinar or give Community CPA a call and we can walk you through. But if you have a payroll company and you call your payroll company who processes your payroll, they know nothing about it and time to change them, then you should come to Community CPA. How could you not do that? You already could benefit from this in the beginning of, at the end of March. You should already benefited from that. So that is the overall of government assistance. Now we talk about PPP. Okay. All right. So look, what did you sign into? Okay, that's another Chinglish. And so you signed the document. You borrowed money from your bank, and this particular loan is called a PPP loan. And you know that it is your bank who give you that money, right? Even if you went through a broker, and the broker would actually tell you which bank underwrote your loan. So you need to know that you signed a document, and you agreed by signing that, you agreed to pay it back 2 years, 1% rate. Okay, so you have an amortization schedule came out already to tell you what to pay. Okay, but the difference is we didn't sign up that loan because it's low interest rate. Of course, it's pretty low. We're happy with it. But our whole purpose is to get it for free and not to pay back to the bank. So inside of your loan document, you should see a forgiveness section. I copy and paste right here for you. Okay? So it says within 60 days from the note day. What is a note day? Note day is the day that you signed that document. Between the date you sign the document to the date you get the money, it should not be over 24 hours. It should be really fast. Okay? So a lot of you signed one day, next day they got the money. So that's starting from the date you signed the document, 60 days. 60 days is roughly less than 2 months. So 2 months is roughly 8 weeks. So it is almost telling you that at the end of the 8 weeks, you better come in to apply for forgiveness. If you missed it, you didn't do it, then you just naturally agreed to pay the note back like what it said, 1% in 2 years term, right? So this is where I want you to be aware of. It is in your court. The bank is not in the business to call you, go, oh, you forgot to apply for your forgiveness. No. And your CPA firm, if you are with Community CPA, we call you to tell you that. But if you're with somebody else, I really cannot guarantee you they even know that is due. So you need to know to take charge 60 days. Okay? and write it down on your calendar. You got that today? You got that on May 1st? On June 28th is the date. June 26th is the date for 60 days and you need to pay. You need to get the application done. All right? All right. So now we covered about the understanding what you signed for. You signed for a loan. Don't misunderstanding that, okay? And it is a loan. And I have one client actually decided to just treat that as a loan because it's 1% is really beneficial. And what happened is he actually decided not to hire anybody back until who knows when. So he decided not to comply with the requirement. He just happy to have the loan. So it is a decision for business owner. You don't have to apply for forgiveness. But my seminar today is to take away all your excuses for saying, whoa, I didn't know that. That's why I couldn't get it forgiven. We want to take that excuse away from you. I want you to make a decision that is a real decision of yours to not apply or to apply for partial. All right. Now, here are a couple of key days for PPP program I need you to remember, okay? One of the date is the date that you got the fund into your bank account, which should be the same day or the very next day of your note signing day, okay? So in this case, I assume, to give you a real understanding of the date, I assume it's May 1st. So today is May 2nd. I assume you got the money yesterday. And this morning you got up and you type into your bank account. You saw that money deposited in there. All right. So that's your key date you need to remember. So from that day on, do you know how to calculate 8 weeks? So the answer I have here for you is that from May 1st, if you got the money, your end of 8 weeks is actually June 26th. It is not June 30th. All right. So don't rough the number out, say, well, 8 weeks is 2 months. No. And when you work with government money, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you, you have to be very precise. Okay. And if you can turn your mind around and knowing that it is not your money, it's the government money, and the government could give you that for free, but they want you to do this and that, and you go by the book and do just exactly what it says. This is where the teeny small businesses are failing, because we are such a free spirit. We think that some people even think that, well, I don't speak English, so I don't know. If I don't know, I should have a looser rules based on what I don't know. No, it is not a good excuse. It doesn't even stand in court. And not knowing the language, not knowing what they mean is not a good excuse. It is a useless excuse. And then someone could say that, why don't you just go to community CPA? They speak 9 different languages. You could have your own language spoken. So there's too many other services out there, and it would not allow you to take that as an excuse. So don't think that way, and just really be solid with your understanding. So you're going to go back to your calendar, count on 8 weeks. So that's June 26th. And when you receive the money, I know the bank also asks you, where do you want this money to be deposited at? If you haven't received it yet, you are about to receive it, our recommendation for you is to either put in your payroll account, which means in that bank account, you don't have other transactions other than payroll. You can put in that account, or you put in a separate account, an account that do not have a lot of transactions. The reason we say that is because when 8 weeks is over, and you would be able to take that bank account and show clearly how you spend the money. And that's what the compliance is all about. It's just they want to see it clear. Imagine that imagine you have a sole proprietorship. You mix your personal bank account with the business, and here government gives you $10,000 on PPP. It went into your personal account. The next transaction you had was $10,000 to pay your child for college tuition. How easy for you to justify that you didn't use that $10,000 to pay the college tuition? You only had a $10,000 balance in your bank account. So obviously you used government money that meant to pay salary and it went into something else. So it's really hard to, of course we can, if you get into that situation, you come to me, I'll figure out a way to explain, to talk about your business process, to explain to the banker, explain to SBA, we can overcome that tunnel vision and more no common sense compliance people's argument, but it is a battle. Why do you want to do that, right? So let's just do it really clean from beginning. So we recommend you to have a separate account. We recommend you to do it in the payroll account. The next dates that is really important is this 8 weeks. These 8 weeks are time frame to spend it all. So if you got money for PPP and the government spirit over the PPP amount is that we want you to pay it to people, not including yourself, including everybody you hire, okay? To pay to the people so they do not go on unemployment benefit claim. And what if you say that, Ying, that's ridiculous. And our governor just issued shelter in place and we can't even go to our place until May 17. What do you want me to do? And I can't use this money. I don't have anybody to pay to. That's exactly what this PPP is all about. The PPP says that you pay them. And if those worker goes, well, I don't want to get your PPP, and you actually pay me less than what I can get from unemployment. If the argument is such, then you can hire people, and you can hire people to pay them. And the idea is that you need to have the people paid during this 8 weeks. And the level of payment you do should maintain the prior level. I will go there in detail, but the spirit is that it maintains the same. Let's say if I have 5 employees in January and February before pandemic, and then I should have 5 employees right now I'm paying. Sure, that one who doesn't want to come back, I don't want him either, so I get a new one, and my nephews really like to work for me. I'm going to pay my nephew to work for me. And he's just going to stay in my place cleaning up, even though we're not open. Okay? So that the idea is that you got to pay people of that money you got. And you also need to tell the folks that the unemployment benefit is not unlimited. It has a 13-week extension, but doesn't mean it doesn't go down to 0. At one point of time, they will use it up. And imagine if pandemic goes on and on for a little longer than 13 weeks, what's gonna happen? Wouldn't that be better to be paid for now and to save that for later, right? So it is really, you need to talk to your employee to make sure and that message goes out so they know what they're getting. It's actually a huge benefit for them to not working and also got paid. All right. So time frame to spend it and keep record. Remember this whole spending is not just limited to payroll. It's also health insurance. It is also retirement benefit, and it is also rent. It is also utility. It is also the mortgage interest related to your building. All right. So these are the 8 weeks. And boy, if we, if it is before someone give us a bunch of money saying spend it in 8 weeks, I can spend it in one trip. Don't need 8 weeks, right? But this is a 8-week with purpose. So we want to understand the spirit of the government, what they're trying to do. All right. So now April 26th, this is such a hard concept. And I will just say one thing here. This PPP amount come down, and but some people didn't have it. They applied on April 3rd, but didn't get it until May 1st, right? When you don't have it and your people already went on unemployment, what are you going to do? Say you got your payment on April 15th, but they already went on unemployment since the end of March. So what happened is the government says April 26 is a magic date. They're saying that keep that date in mind. Before that day, if your people were on unemployment, you didn't hire enough people, and your PPP amount you spent, and because you didn't hire enough, they're still on unemployment, and we assume you hired them. They are all here before April 16. So 26. So if you got your PPP money on the April 15 to 26 is considered you fulfilled the number of employee, the wages that you need to pay. Only after April 26, you need to do a real job on that, because the government say that no more excuse. After April 26, you need to get all your people back. All right. So there is, and we do have quite a few clients are getting PPP before that date. And I will tell you that, folks, you're listening to me. If you are one of those people who received the PPP before April 26, and you really need to seek professional calculation for your number. It is not as easy as what I would demonstrate over here. But majority of teeny small businesses are funded after April 26, majority of them. Okay, so now another magic date is June 30th, restoration date. This June 30th date is the date that the government says before you go for forgiveness application, it needs to show that on this date, you have restored back to norm. That's the requirement. So that's why the forgiveness program, when you go to apply, it starts on July 1st, because it needs to know that you had restored number of employees and the dollar of employees. So I use a number sign for one restoration, dollar for another restoration. So both conditions must exist before you can qualify PPP forgiveness. All right. Now, July 1st or at the end of the 8 weeks to apply for forgiveness, right? Remember the previous slides, I have this 60-day, the bank was written on our loan document. So you need to know, all right? So I want to make sure that what if you may be saying, oh, Ying, what if my 8 weeks was ended before June 30th? And so that means I should wait till July 1st? No, your loan contract will say 60 days. So you go ahead to apply, but your bank would require you to come back to verify June 30th after that is gone. All right. So these are key days for PPP. So let me repeat. The date you receive the money, the 8 weeks that you should mark on the calendar, make them red. So you know these are the days you need to spend. And if you got your money before April 26th, and just make a note, call Ying and talk to community CPA. If you got money after April 26th, your problem is resolved today. All right. And then June 30th is a benchmark day, and everything needs to go back to normal. And this is all the rules came out when COVID-19 was understood by going away by the end of June. And doesn't look like it's going away. So I don't know, maybe the government will come up with a new benchmarks, new rules. That's why you couldn't even go away from me. You have to be coming back to my webinar all the time to hear me changing my mind. Not really my mind, is the government's mind. So give you updates though, just so you are always in the know. It's important. All right, so key understanding to keep in mind. By June 30th, eliminated reduction in full-time employee and the wages. Okay, so June 30th, again, I mentioned about this date because this is the date the government said that you must restore whatever you had before. And what is before? Before are 2 periods. And here on my previous slides, and that 2 periods before means January to February 2020. So 2 months of 2020, that is your before. Or if you say, whoa, I'm not very good, my January, February already had a problem, and then your before would be February the 15th, 2019 to June 30th, 2019. See? So you have 2 separate periods to calculate your average monthly employee number. And to calculate the number, really the simple way to calculate the employee number, let me tell you, you just look at the employee's name, your paycheck, your social security number. So whatever that is, because that's the maximum. But of course you may say, oh no, Ying, I cannot do that because my employee only works like, 10 hours a week. Okay. That 10 hours a week means 1/3 of the employee, because the government in this particular PPP program, they are talking about 30 hours being a full-time employee. So if you have an employee work 10 hours, another employee work for 10 hours a week, another employee works for 10 hours a week. So that 30 hours a week, that is already a full-time employee. That's 1 instead of 3. Okay, so all of that is to calculate number of employee you have to restore. Let's say I had 20 social security numbers, but my full-time employee calculated to be 10. Okay, that means most of my people are working 15 hours a week, right? So then 10 is what I need to restore. So let's say all of my 20 are so scared they don't want to come back. I hired 10 new ones. That's fine. That's okay. There's no place says that you have to hire the same people back. You can hire new ones, right? If the only people who's willing to work, it is your friend and your grown-up kids, and then you hire them. What can you do? Okay, you need to hire people who is willing to come on to your payroll. So right here, June 30th, eliminating reduction. Okay, you have to have that happen on June 30th. One measure for number of employees, monthly average for the 2 periods I was talking about. Monthly average. We're not talking about, weekly. You have to pull out your people, look at the timesheet, and really do a monthly average calculation. Okay. And one measure for wages and the salary level. And this is a very important thing to remember. The salary level, the wages level, is determined by the first quarter of 2020. And you may say that, Ying, that sounds odd because my first quarter is already now right. And in March, I already let go of people on March 15. So my first quarter was actually less than my fourth quarter. That's okay. That's the government intention. They want the first quarter, whatever that number is, and your wages restoration has to be no less than 75% of first quarter. 75% of first quarter. So if your quarter is 100,000, let's say total wages, 100,000 in the first quarter, so you restore back 100% as long as it's $75,001. See, they didn't ask you to go back to 100,000. They ask you to restore 75% and more. All right. So that is a key understanding to keep in mind. Even if business is not open, you are still required to pay 8 weeks salary and wages. Very simple. Okay. And you do not have to hire the same people back as long as you meet the number and dollars. Simple, right? So I think that alone already answered a lot of your question, because you're sitting there wondering what happened to those ones already on unemployment. I just talked to them. They don't want to come back. They said they get more right now than working for me, but they're also using up all their possibility to get more in the future. Okay, so these people are not calculating their benefit properly. All right. And use PPP money, we kind of covered that. I want to go a little faster we cover that because it's a payroll cost, utility rent. And let me just briefly answer this one small things here. So someone asked me, is the PPP dollar is going to, is a loan that will be forgiven normally. And if you are forgiving a loan, you are giving a 1099-C. And it says that the bank forgive your loan, so you have to report taxes for the 1099-C as income. Okay, that's how it happened in the past. But for PPP, it's special. You still get 1099-C, but you don't pay taxes because when you put in the 1099-C, your tax preparer will choose a special code to make it non-taxable. All right, that's the magic your tax preparer need to know. And if they don't know, and you know that you shouldn't be taxed, so you can ask that question to your tax preparer. Or if you come to community CPA, we don't even need to talk to you. We knew that it should not be taxable. And then how can PPP be free? So we talked about you apply for forgiveness, right? So there's 4 steps I want to mention to you because this is what you do with the bank. Number 1, you're gonna document the number of employees and the dollar. So you document the number and the dollar, what do you use as a benchmark? So that should be determined right now if you got the fund already. So you should know the number, you should know the dollar. So the bank wants you to show them that. Once you show them the dollar and the number, they want to see your 8 weeks dollar and the number. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, the bank wants to see you really did pay. So they want to see cancel check, the bank statement. If you're running that bank account with the bank, they probably don't need that because they have the transaction in their system already, but they want proof that you really did pay. All right. And then they also want you to sign a certificate of what they call that certificate, kind of like an affidavit saying is a legally binding, saying that you know the rule and you give the right number and you're not fraudulent, and otherwise they could charge you felony. It's a criminal charge if we are signing that document without knowing that we're giving the truth, only truth, nothing but truth, right? And document to show the number of headcount and wages. The number three is the one that you calculated from the prior period and your first quarter of total wages. So you need to establish the ground first. And of course, whatever other document the bank wants, you need to give them. So that's kind of the process you do with the bank. And we, at the CPA firm, AICPA has already given guidelines to CPA firms to tell them that how to work on the compliance. And it is technically, we call that agreed upon procedure, where the documents are actually certified by the CPA firms. Then you bring that into the bank and then they forgive your loan. So that is yet to become a standard process, but I can see it is coming that way. So CPA firms are all buckling up and are getting ready to write this because it's going to come on down so fast and in such a short time. Everybody need to be forgiven, but everybody is due on the same time. So that could be a lot of work for your CPA firm. You might as well just establish a really solid relationship with CPA firm so you can always be taken care of at the time you need, right? Simple one owner PPP. This is the example. I have a couple of examples here. I'm going to digest that with you so you get the spirit of it. Then we open up for question. Okay. So number one, simple one owner PPP. So I am a real estate. I'm a real estate agent, but I have an S corp, right? So I got a commission income to S corp. I pay myself $3,000 a month for gross salaries. And so when I applied for PPP, because it is 2.5 times of 3,000, so you know that I applied for 7,500. So here I got on May 1st, 7,500 deposited into my bank account. All right. So I know I need to spend from May 1st to June 26th and 75,000 on salary. But you know what? I pay myself 3,000 a month. So I did May, I did June. I even ran my June payroll on June 26th, but I only spent 6,000 because my salary was 3,000. And is that okay if I just give myself more money to use up 7,500? According to what I read, the answer is yes. However, remember you can also use your PPP money to pay rent, to pay utility, right? So I pay $750 a month rent for myself. So for my agency, so I have 2 months rent, 1,500. So I paid rent. I wrote 2 rent checks in May and June. I did my payroll properly. And here I used up 7,500. And on June 31st, I am still hiring myself. I still pay myself 3,000 a month. And I am still paying myself the same. I did not reduce my salary down. And I keep myself the same. I even paid myself more as long as I'm above 75%, right? So here, I am qualified for getting that forgiveness of loan. So during the 8 weeks, I paid wages, 6,000. I paid rent, 1,500. July 1st, I applied for forgiveness of loan. 7,500 is mine. All right. So at the end of the year 2020, I got a 1099-C with 7,500. And I went to my tax preparer. I went to community CPA and I said, look, Ying, I have this 1099-C. You know what to do. And our tax preparer goes, of course we know. And we booked the 7,500 and we exempted. And it's like you never got that money. Free, tax free. But of course, I want to say that you don't want to include your 2 months salary, your $1,500 rent in your business expense again. You should not double dip on that expense, right? Because that already paid by the government money. So that's first example. Isn't that simple? And it's very straightforward. And it's just, you need to use that money, okay? Number 2, company simple. This is a company with multiple employees and received May 15 funding $100,000. All right. And the job is to spend them from May 15 to July 10th. All right. And in this 8 weeks time, spend it. And the restoration date is June 30th. It's right in the middle of my 8 weeks. And I'll just make sure my number is good. My wages is good, I'll be good. So during the 8 weeks, paid out wages, 78,000. You know what? Why it is not 100,000? Just because, well, the people that I hired before, I paid a little bit more to them. But now when I hire new people, and they don't need to be paid that much, but that person we paid, we only saved like 10%. We didn't really save much. We still paid people good salaries. So my total wages 8 weeks is 78,000. But my rent and the utilities was 22,000. All right. Then what happened? 78,000 plus 22,000 come up with my 100,000. And did I spend more than 75% of my money on wages? Did I? Yes, I did. And that means I qualify for forgiveness for the total $100,000. All right. So that rent and utility cannot be more than 25% of your total PPP. So that's why it's 22,000. All right. At the end of the year, there you go. I have 1099-C comes in for 100,000. And if I don't properly treat it, I'm going to pay taxes on $100,000. So of course I'm going to treat it right, non-taxable, and I'll make sure I don't double dip on my expense. I am good, right? So look, this is not hard, right? Simple. Company, not simple, all right? Company, not simple. There are company and had a little glitches in between. Let's see this one. Got the funding on May 15 for 100,000, okay? And in the loan application, let's assume they have to restore their employees, and they did not restore all of the employees. They only restored part of the employees, okay? And now the June 30th is right in the middle of their period. And on July 10th, they have to finish all of the spending and apply for forgiveness. Let's say, you still are under a shelter in place. And sure, you open a little bit, but just not going to open so much that you had that many employees to pay. So you actually didn't really have that much payroll. You only paid 50,000. But you were budgeting for 100,000, so you got that funding. Okay, I just paid 50,000. But the actual rental utilities of 22,000. And now, what is the qualifying number you can do for your rent and utility? Because you only qualified for $50,000 wages. So then your rent cannot be 22 because that will be over 25% of your total. So it is only a portion of that will be qualified. So that's 12,500. All right. So now your qualifying rent based on your 50,000 is only 12,500. So your total qualified PPP amount for forgiveness is only 62,500. Now what happened? And you got 100,000. So you have that 37,500 you were not able to spend. So what is going to happen to you? Nothing. And you are going to receive a 1099-C for 62,500. And you are going to get a bank to update their notes with you from 100,000 down to 37,500. So you have a loan on one hand, you have a forgived loan on the other hand. So did you add the 37,500 to your income? No, it is not your income, it's your loan. So you will tell your accountant, don't put that as my income. That is the loan. Here's my loan notes, and you put that on the balance sheet. All right, so that is the difference. And none of these dollars, whether it's forgived or not forgived, is not your income. Okay, the forgived one obviously is not your income, is you get for free. But that portion will take away your expense as well. All right, it goes with the income, 62,500, with your expense. So that part is out of your business life. But your 37,500, it is going to be a liability for you. And it doesn't take away your expense. So whatever you spend on that is deductible. All right. So these three examples are the one that I get for you today. I want you to completely see the big picture of it. So it is really scary if you don't get it for gift. No, it is just become the loan. Where did you get 2-year term and 1% loan? You tell me. Never, anywhere. So it's a good, if you got a PPP loan, PPP, period, you win. You already better off than those ones who didn't get anything. All right. All right. And thank you so much for being with me. And I hope you learned some. And give me a thumb up on Facebook because we stream the class here and on our website. And you also can see the prior time or today's recording. And on our YouTube channel, Community CPA has a YouTube channel. All of our webinars are there too. And just so you know that we try to be available to you. And not that we we're trying to make ourselves busy because we really worried about people out there don't know the rules and miss out this opportunity. And there's a lot of our teeny small businesses and we are not having enough professionals to really serve them. So Community CPA, we want to be that firm. We want to be the firm that capture the benefit for you, and we want you to be as beneficial, as profitable as the big firm just because they have a big CPA firm to take care of them, so they're good. And I want you to say that you have Community CPA, so you're good. All right, and see you again, and thank you for joining me.